My girlfriend, 27F, spirals whenever she makes me, 26M, sad, and I end up comforting her instead. Hi, so we've been dating for a few years, and this has honestly always been kind of a problem. It used to be worse, happen more frequently, but it always leaves me shaken. It just happened again, and I feel like I really need advice because I don't understand what is going on. Basically, almost any time she does anything to make me sad or hurt my feelings, she has a complete meltdown, and it turns into me comforting her instead. I genuinely do believe she's really feeling the emotions she's expressing and not manipulating me. However, I always come away from it feeling like I just defused a bomb and didn't get to work through why I was feeling hurt in the first place. I've talked to her about this after the fact, and she agrees she needs to work on it, yet it still happens sometimes, and I really hate it. Tonight, I had gotten home from work and was looking forward to spending time together. We were sitting cuddled on the couch discussing what to do for the evening. She's going to make dinner while I do laundry, and then we're going to run errands together. Then she gets a call from a coworker friend that her and a bunch of other coworkers are going to a bar and could pick her up ASAP. She immediately accepts, hangs up, and then asks if I want to go too. I'm pretty stunned that she just threw everything out the window. But anyway, I'm tired from work and I'm worried about the chores that need to get done, so I decline. She notices that I'm feeling down and quiet. I just say I'm sad that she's going to be leaving, which is true, but I tell her to enjoy and have fun. She will not let it go. She keeps saying, "If you don't want me to go, then I won't." And I say I'm not going to make that decision for you, but you seem like you really want to go. Question mark. Still will not drop it. I keep telling her it's her decision. I don't really get why she keeps asking me. She starts crying. I ask what's going on. She snaps, "I'm only ever here or at work, and when I want to go out you get sad." Which I don't even know how to respond to because I didn't expect it. So I try to carefully say, "Yeah, I'm sad, but it's not that big a deal and I don't think it warrants crying over." Nope, this was the wrong thing to say. She starts full on sobbing and says, "Always invalidate her feelings," which hurt like hell to hear. I'm completely stunned numb at this point, so I just go to the bedroom and lay down, and later she comes in to get dressed to leave. I ask her to sit for a moment and I try to explain what we've discussed before, which is that it really hurts when she starts spiraling over me being sad because then I have to push my feelings aside to comfort her. And then she basically said she thinks it's hypocritical for me to say that because it's like I'm telling her she's overreacting. Then she starts saying that she's terrible, a common trend during these spirals, and saying other hateful things towards herself. She's wailing and her coworkers are literally at the door, so I do what I always do and stamp my feelings down and comfort her. She left a bit ago and I'm just sitting here feeling like there's a hole in my chest, like I actually cannot comprehend how it got to this point. Honestly, I feel like tonight's thing is not really a great example either because it definitely didn't start out being anyone's fault, I think. However, there have been times in the past where she really did say or do something hurtful to me, even if unintentional, and then it led down the same path. Can I please get some insight into this? Has anyone else dealt with someone like this in their life? I can't wrap my head around this because, again, I genuinely feel like she is not being intentionally manipulative. However, the end result is that I hate expressing negative feelings around her and I swallow everything down as best I can. Any thoughts would be most appreciated. Sad face TLDR. I got sad that my GF was leaving to go with her coworkers to a bar. She completely spiraled and sobbed over me being sad. This kind of thing has happened many times in the past and I feel I can't show negative emotions because of it. Not all manipulative behavior is intentional, as in, haha, I will cry to manipulate him. But it's often learned through feedback. Generally when she cries, she gets comfort and the difficult issue is resolved, so it's an almost automatic reaction to difficult issues. You need to stop that feedback if the issue is with you feeling sad and that's what you're discussing. Let her cry but continue discussing the issue. If she needs a break to deal with her feelings, she gets a break to herself. To deal with her emotions, she has to be able to self-regulate.
I'm going to answer this based on my own personal experience that sounds super similar to this. I acted a similar way to your GF with my ex a few times before I realized I was and stopped myself as best as I could and walked away for a bit if I needed to for a breather and then came back so we could talk and I could help him through his feelings without putting my own into it. However, in situations like the one you described, which happened multiple times with my ex as well, to me, it felt like my ex wasn't ever being honest with me. That always made my emotions worse and way harder to control. It wasn't that I was trying to use my emotions to gain leverage or manipulate, and I wanted nothing more than to understand his feelings, but I just couldn't because he wouldn't tell me how he really felt. He always danced around his feelings when it came to things, and instead of saying, "I was looking forward to spending time with you," so I wish you wouldn't go, etc. He'd say, I mean, yeah, I'm sad, but no, it's fine, go ahead. I'm okay, it's fine. And while people see crying and uncontrollable emotions as manipulation, you can also take specific wording as manipulation as well. I always felt obligated to be with my ex because I knew he'd be sad if I did things without him, but he left me alone all the time. If I wanted to do things without him, he made me feel guilty by being vague about his feelings or seem sad, which made my emotions spiral. I tried, and usually did well, to hide my feelings, but honestly, it's manipulative on both ends. It's unhealthy for both of you. My ex and I didn't realize we were so unhealthy until we broke up. We didn't even break up for any of these reasons. Dealing with someone who has a lot of emotions is hard. Trust me, I know I have a lot of emotions and I know it's exhausting. If it's too much for you, that's valid, but be more honest with yourself and your girlfriend with how you're feeling, and maybe being better at communicating will help to minimize the spiraling if you want to keep trying.
I have been in your place, but to be honest here, you were being passive-aggressive and it is not fair on her. You were clearly not okay with her going and you going, no, it's fine, you want to go, when clearly looking like you don't want her to go is hypocritical, because what is she supposed to do then? And then when she tries to backtrack and offers not to go, you say no. She couldn't win. You really should learn to communicate. It wouldn't have taken much to say, I feel overwhelmed with the chores we have to do and I wish you had consulted me before accepting.
She was trying to discuss it and you were closed off.
What you are doing is called stonewalling. It's when, due to feeling stressed, down, instead of communicating directly and responding honestly to someone's question, you stay silent and deflect. It's fine, go, when it is clearly not fine. It is a toxic coping mechanism because it tends to make the person in front of you more and more frustrated, to the point where it makes them actually go mad and it ends in tears or shouting. You both have work to do. She should be more aware of your feelings, and you of hers. Both of you were inadvertently a bit manipulative here, but you just have to be more open in the future.
This doesn't sound healthy, even if it's not manipulative, which I would seriously question, by the way. Open and honest communication is the foundation of any good relationship. If you can't be yourself around your partner, who can you be?
Honestly, I struggled with this at times. In my case, shitty parents who can't handle blame on themselves or model self-regulation. Any conflict would turn into a several-hour lecture. I wasn't allowed to leave and calm down, and I basically just dissociated and agreed until I could escape, leading to CPTSD, as well as some autism plus ADHD likely in the mix. Making someone feel bad turns into a shame spiral, and it can be hard to pull out of it, and I get stuck trying to cheers them up or fix things and getting more distressed if that doesn't work, because that feels like they're going to stay mad at me forever. Logically, I know they won't, but that's the loop. It's really hard to drop it, and my partner struggles with that bit too. RIP. What actually works for me is disengaging from the situation to calm down. Again, because of shitty childhood and other stuff, struggle to do that in front of other people, and come back to actually talk about the problem. Obviously that's hard when you're operating on a time schedule like going out with friends but taking a break, with, I love you, I'm not mad, I just need a couple minutes to organize my thoughts, type reassurances for both of us, works well for our dynamic. If it does happen, it's when we're both overwhelmed and exhausted. Something I noticed with the incident that sparked this, she didn't while on the phone check in with you. Even just relaying, hey, some folks want to go out tonight, do you want to? Thumbs up, thumbs down, and agreed without thinking about the potential clash, and then had the rapid mood change when she realized it was thoughtless. Does she potentially, not trying to diagnose third hand over the internet, OFC, have other traits of ADHD? Because that sounds like impulsivity plus rejection-sensitive dysphoria, RSD. And those are things that could potentially be improved with treatment and therapy. It's a potential explanation, but not an excuse. The short of it is, this isn't a healthy pattern as things stand. You can't keep having to externally regulate her emotions for her, and bottling up your emotions, walking on eggshells because you're afraid of setting off a meltdown. It's just not sustainable. Therapy might be helpful for her, and potentially couples therapy too, but if she's not open to working on things, not just agreeing it's bad, and then not changing, Maybe this isn't a relationship you can stay in. Because it takes a lot out of you to manage her emotions for her, and it's not fair to expect that labor.
Do you live together? It's not clear. And while this may not be on purpose, she's learned that if she freaks out and sobs, you'll stop, making her feel selfish, and she can do what she wants anyway. Stop comforting her. It just reinforces her behavior.
You're being passive-aggressive and your GF is feeling frustrated by that, possibly because she's an extrovert. If you don't want her to go, then tell her she shouldn't go. Instead, you told her you're feeling hurt and sad, but it's ultimately her decision, so you made it like it's her decision to hurt you, and then you feel forced to pacify her when you put her in that situation. You guys don't seem to communicate well and possibly incompatible, I think, in the long run. Either you accept how things are and not expect her to want to do the same things as you so you wouldn't be feeling hurt, or you just be more assertive. Also, stop psycho-analyzing your GF and focus on what you yourself is feeling and how you act based on that she has her own feelings that you cannot control.
So your GF noticed you were sad, and your response was, "Yay, but you go enjoy and have fun." I personally would have not been able to have fun after being told this. I would feel guilty and physically sick all night knowing I'd caused my partner to be sad. A better, healthier response would be to say, "Yeah, I'm sad, but I am happy that you're going to have fun. I am going to catch up on some episodes of X, or whatever fun, self-love activity you do." You said your GF has an inability to self-regulate. Chances are somewhere deep down she knows this, but doesn't understand that sadness doesn't equal meltdown for other people. So you being sad probably feels very bad to her. You need to reinforce that you have self-soothing methods in place and that your sadness is not her responsibility. Her actions causing it in other situations are OFC her responsibility, but definitely reinforce that you have ways of dealing with emotions, and potentially encourage her to learn some self-soothing methods too.
People are pointing out that her behavior is manipulative. It is, but I'm seeing few question if yours is too. Again, not saying you both don't feel those feelings, but you are both manipulating each other's behavior with it. An ex used to do this to me. I rarely had the opportunity to go out because of this behavior. He would be sad, and if I went in spite of it, the repercussions of his sadness when I came back were rarely worth it. You said she wants to go, but at the same time you were saying, "But if you go, I'll be sad." Frankly, you didn't have plans, and for you to be sad that she got an offer is a lot. You are controlling her behavior, because whether you say she's allowed to go or not, she isn't really, or you'll feel like a hole in your chest. I'm assuming when she comes home she'll have to console you. How are your behaviors different?
You both honestly sound like whiny, manipulative children. I don't know what has caused you both to be that emotionally stunted, but I don't think it's gonna work out.
Anytime there's an issue to be hashed out and the other person goes on a self-hating monologue about how terrible they are, the discussion is over. It's psychological and emotional abuse, whether they mean it or not, whether they are aware of it or not, whether it's intentional or not. You comforting her plays directly into their hands. You are an enabler at your expense. Until you cut your own behavior out, she will not stop, and she knows it. She walked out of that house with red eyes, puffy face from crying. Now what do you imagine she told her friends about why she looked like that? Do you think she said something like, "Oh, I was having a tantrum because I abruptly canceled my plans with him. He was disappointed, but I put a stop to that by having a breakdown on cue, and that's why I'm still going out"? It works all the time. Of course she didn't. Whatever she told them made you look bad and her a victim of a controlling boyfriend.
You lied to her about your reactions, and are surprised it created issues. Stop lying. It'll stop happening.
My partner used to do this, but I talked about it as you did, and she worked on it and doesn't do it anymore. Well, she will start, but stop and say, "Wait, you are the one who is sad. I'm here for you." What I have trouble with is that in this case she still went out with coworkers. Even at her worst, my partner would have stopped everything, and no matter how long it took, stayed by me until we were on the same page.
You're the one manipulating her by acting all butthurt when normal things happen, like mid-20s people going out for drinks. She threw everything out the window? Kinda dramatic way to describe an evening of chores, dude.
Respectfully, I disagree that she's not intentionally manipulating you. She says you invalidate her feelings, but that's what she's doing to you. All those self-hating things she says are ways to get you to defend her, while she is being terrible. Truly, even if it's not intentional, you cannot have a healthy adult relationship with someone who literally cannot take criticism and work to solve problems with you. She isn't working to improve this, why would she? This method gets her what she wants, while you suffer for it. Nowhere in here is anything about her comforting you, caring that you're in pain. Instead, you're the one here, trying to solve this issue. Not her. Why do you think that is?
I am married to a woman for a decade and a half that has a similar behavior. I did not realize earlier how this could be a problem. Men, me, should be knight in shining armor, stoic, strong, no emotions. Some simple examples of things that happened and that you might relate. I am feeling sad, I didn't like this thing that happened equals, OMG, I am an awful wife, crying, I should have seen that you are sad and provided better support, why am I such an awful wife, nah, love of my life, you are fine. Hey, you did this and I didn't like. You hurt me, no, this was not the intention. I am hurt that you felt hurt by what I said. Did you should not have felt hurt by this. I am a horrible wife, crying. A couple of times I tried to call it out, and I got so I cannot express what I am feeling at that moment. And one time I actually said, I do not know, we need to figure this out together. But I am usually more prone to listen and push my emotions down, while you are more prone to talk and out your emotions. Maybe sometimes it has to be my turn, and you should make an effort to listen and not dominate the talk with your emotions. So yeah, sometimes I think maybe you cannot express because you will silence me. I will always listen to you anytime you need, you know that. What do you think? I do not know the answer, but we need to solve this together. We have been trying to work on it together for some time. I do not think your GF will change easily. Change is a long process, and I can say from my own changes that they can take longer than expected. I think being on the listening side is the hardest side. It is really hard to listen, be empathetic and not be reactive, really put yourself on someone else's shoes. Honestly, think whether or not you want this relationship or for how long you want to work on this. I love my wife. We are married. We have a family with a child, and it is just generally harder to make such a move. If I had the head I have now at the beginning of our relationship, possibly I would not have tolerated this and either solved it at the beginning or saved me some issues over the years.
She sounds like she has the emotional maturity of a toddler.
This is emotional abuse at the very least. Please get into some sort of counseling.
But this is indeed manipulation. Let's call it what it is. You are allowed to feel hurt or angry at your partner, and you are allowed to express those feelings. What she is doing is making you feel guilty for even expressing those feelings to her, and that is absolutely wrong. Look where this has led you to: resentment. I experienced this in a relationship where if I got angry or expressed disappointment, I somehow ended up apologizing even though I was legitimately wrong. The resentment literally poisoned and killed that relationship. I'm not gonna say your GF is intentional with her manipulation, but see it for what it is. Don't coddle her when she has these outbreaks. Give her space to ventilate and for you to calm down as well, then reapproach the issue. I know exactly where you are. It's the lack of emotional empathy and the fact that she never apologizes for hurting you. It's relationship poison. At the very least, get therapy for yourself so you can have better perspective on whether this unhealthy relationship is best for you.
She is being manipulative. She needs therapy. You need to break it off.
So there's a few things here. One is she doesn't have any accountability for her actions. She made plans with you, instantly bailed. 2. She is making herself responsible for your feelings. When you became sad at sudden plan change and expressed that, she became upset because she made you sad by bailing on plans and again didn't accept accountability. Lastly, she still went out with her friends after what I would describe as quite the heated discussion if one of you is sobbing. She's out having a good time and you're home by yourself questioning your relationship, so she is either dealing with some crazy rejection sensitivity, or she is manipulating you to avoid being accountable for her mishaps in the relationship. Choosing to then cry and guilt trip you instead, causing you to comfort her intentionally or not, it is a problem. If you want to continue this relationship, I would be insisting she see a therapist so she can learn tools to manage her emotions, frame it positively as an educational tool and positive influence for her, and not that there is something wrong with her. Maybe while she's doing that you can find some kind of therapy for yourself so you have a support system outside of yourself. If she refuses, well, it's really up to you if you want to be ultimatumy about it.
She needs to understand that your emotions aren't her responsibility. There's only so much you can do about that, but maybe putting in those words could help. You're grown and she doesn't have to manage your feelings, especially when she has trouble managing her own. It could also help to assure her that it's not her fault before she gets to a spiraling point. In this scenario, for example, instead of you saying, "I'm sad that you're leaving," something like, "I was looking forward to quality time with you," focuses more on the positives that you're missing instead of her actions. I don't think anything seems wrong with your communication, but if she's really sensitive to phrasing, learning how to make proper I statements could help a little.
I hope she is in therapy. If so, you should ask to join for a session so you can ask the therapist how best to handle situations like this. My BPD causes me to do this often, though not just because my partner gets sad. Since my partner is my favorite person, they can generally halt the spiral by telling me to stop and reasserting what was actually going on versus what my brain was saying. Your partner needs to stop assuming she knows what emotions you are feeling are stronger than what you are saying. If you normally are very direct in communication, I could counter the spiral with, "If I was going to insist on you staying home, I would have said so. I am disappointed, not devastated, that we won't be spending the evening together." Maybe choosing new words for the emotions involved rather than just sad would help.
She's forcing you to manage her feelings, and that's not your responsibility. Step back and say, "I see you're struggling with this." Then walk away, don't engage.
Sounds like emotional abuse. You aren't able to discuss your hurt feelings without it being about her. Does she victimize herself over everything? If attention is brought from her to you, do you experience sudden emotional tornadoes that bring the care and attention back to her? I dated what I believed to be a covert narcissist, worst experience of my life. It almost killed me. She victimized herself over my own suicidal breakdown, that I would say she induced intentionally by a year and a half of emotional abuse, and then when I caught it in the moment in our last phone conversation. "Wait, why is this about you all of a sudden?" Her voice went cold. Instantaneously she turned on a dime, called off the relationship, broke off contact with zero closure or explanation, and months later I learned she was telling people we broke up because I was a low-key rapist. Took a lot.
Y'all so nice, she's intentionally manipulative.